Okay, good morning, staff and public. Welcome to our June 10th continuation of our budget hearings. We're going to start off with a roll call. City Clerk, would you please call the roll? Oh, I'm sorry, I called the meeting to order at 9:10 a.m. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Perea.
Here.
Councilmember Maxwell.
Here.
Councilmember Vang.
Present.
Councilmember Richardson.
Here.
Councilmember Esparza.
Present.
Vice President Arias.
Present.
And Council President Carbasi.
Here. Next, we have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Councilmember Maxwell, if you please lead us, that'd be great.
Please stand.
Thank you. Again, we don't have to approve an agenda because these are ongoing budget hearings, but City Clerk, if you'd let us know about translators, that'd be great.
Certainly. We do have Spanish, Hmong, and Punjabi translators available via Zoom. We also have ASL online, and we do have Spanish in-house translators for anyone in the chamber that needs their services.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. So at this time, we're going to take public comment regarding all the budget presentations. Would any member of the public like to speak on items on the budget presentations? If so, each speaker will have 3 minutes. And just identify the item you're commenting about at the beginning of your comments. Now, I do have some cards, so we'll start with those. But if you'd like to speak, please do fill out a card and bring it up right up here, and Bernard will take it from you, and we'll get you up here to talk about it. So first, I have Giovanna Morales, and you'll have 3 minutes, followed by Rosa de Leon.
Hello, good morning. Giovanna Morales with Leadership Council. We do appreciate Councilmember Arias allocating an additional $500,000 to the EPP and $1 million unallocated home funds to the Mobile Home Preservation Fund program. But we do urge the City Council to allocate the full $2.5 million to the EPP. Costs will continue to increase and wages will remain stagnant, which will undoubtedly impact low-income families the most. We also are entering into the hot summer months where tenants will have to choose between paying high utility bills, rent, or food. The EPP must be fully funded to ensure tenants have the right to legal counsel to prevent displacement and exacerbating the housing crisis in the city of Fresno. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is Rosa de Leon, followed by Damaris Sid.
Good morning, Rosa de Leon with the Housing Coalition Empower California Action. I'm grateful to see additional investments to the eviction protection program. $2 million is not enough. We really need to make sure that we are investing in keeping our tenants safe. There's a big demand for this program, and we need to meet these needs. So thank you for increasing the budget. However, we want to make sure that it is fully funded to meet the demand of the eviction protection program. So we need $2.5 million to support our tenants. In addition, we're glad to see the $1 million for mobile home rehabilitation. This is so important to ensure safe conditions of residents here in Fresno. We argued to increase that funding to $3 million to make sure that there is enough resources for community members. And this is just a first step, right, to begin to look into the housing crisis here in Fresno. We're seeing a lot of residents basically barely making it by, right? The economic situation is really hard. Housing is one of them, and there's many others like groceries, healthcare, and all the other things that they need to cover. So definitely look into alternatives, right? There is a tenant opportunity to purchase act that we can be looking into for the future. So really trying to urge you all to be more creative, think of other ways that we can make sure that our folks stay housed and they have a dignified life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next we have Damaris Sid, followed by Kyle Lopez-Schmidt.
Hello, my name is Lomari Sid. I'm a District 3 resident and a volunteer with Power CA Action. I'm a college student who has consistently worked 2 jobs throughout college to support a household of 4. My dad is a truck driver and my mom is on disability. Our incomes combined are sufficient enough to get us by. However, as a young person, I have a sick gut feeling when I think about my future and the lack of affordable housing. As a person born and raised in Fresno, I want my community to thrive. It's contradicting to see ordinances that dehumanize homeless people when the result of their lives is often due to unstable housing. There must be a long-term solution for the housing crisis in Fresno than just a Band-Aid or telling people to work harder to survive in this economy. My mom worked 23 excruciating years as a CNA for Alzheimer's patients before she became physically disabled, and she'd be homeless right now without my dad and I. We all work hard, and it's an insult to know that many people are just an illness or accident away from becoming displaced. Renters in Fresno need to earn $26.87 per hour, which is 1.6 times the state minimum wage, just to afford the average monthly asking rent of $1,397. That's why the city must increase funding for the eviction protection program to $2.5 million. The funds that are being given right now are just postponing this issue. Investing in affordable housing is an imperative decision to secure stability for low-income and working-class families. I'm happy to see $1 million for mobile home preservation, but I ask that you increase that to $3 million so that families continue to have a safe and secure living conditions as we move forward into this rising hot weather. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maris. Next is Kyle Lopez-Schmidt, followed by REC.
Good morning, Council. Kyle Lopez-Schmidt, Executive Director of the South Tower Community Land Trust. And sorry to say I couldn't participate in as many budget hearings this year as last year, or get confronted by any department heads about me asking for their budgets to be changed. One thing I want to really uplift, if you think back just a few weeks, how City of Fresno was dismayed that our pro-housing designation was removed, and really think about this budget and think about whether this budget is a pro-housing budget. Everybody that's spoken to me previously is asking for additional funds for housing. A few things that I'd like to lift up. Within the housing element, the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act is called out as a policy that the city committed to in the housing element, but hasn't done any work into implementing that. That's something that our organization is taking on as something we advocated for and would like to see not just the policy passed, but some dollars allocated to implementing the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act. As well as echo the eviction protection program that my comrades previously highlighted and increase that budget to $2.5 million. I'd also like to highlight within the pro-housing designation, a lot of the policy that needed to be implemented for City of Fresno to maintain the pro-housing designation was related to expedited review of kind of missing middle housing, the cottage developments, duplexes, fourplexes. We had previously tried to bring forward policy around the cottage development ordinance and making that more usable for us as an organization, as well as the staffing within the planning department and the building department really needs to be robust in order to commit to those higher, the expedited reviews of those projects. So really think about if there's enough staffing within those departments to make those commitments when that comes around for you to be reapplying for the pro-housing designation. So again, would really like to highlight that this budget should be a pro-housing budget and more dollars should be allocated towards those housing programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Kyle. Next, we have REC, followed by Elliot Bailey. And if there are more cards, please do submit them.
Good morning, Council. Thank you. My name is Ariana, and my family and I are homeowners here in Fresno in Districts 1, 2, 5, and 6. I'm a community-based mental health therapist and a small business owner. I have worked in community mental health for over a decade. So I'm speaking today in regards to the budget, and I want to voice my support for the added $2.5 million for the eviction protection program, or for the full funding, $1 million to start the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act, $3 million for the mobile home rehabilitation, the support for the ministerial text amendment, and to continue voicing support and urging council to highlight winter warming centers and summer cooling centers and reevaluating the HEART program to create an effective holistic wraparound approach that is evidence-based and centers lived experience expertise. I began my work at the Veterans Affairs Center and the Marjorie Mason Center in 2013. And one thing I can say across the board is that the lack of emergency housing and transitional to permanent housing and affordable housing has been a constant barrier to stability and economic mobility here in Fresno, especially for serving its most vulnerable population. Housing was an issue 12 years ago, and it's still an issue now, because policing does not solve the lack of housing infrastructure. So I really hope that we start to take a look at the structural deficit that going on this path is going to create, and really investing in housing, because we want to prevent homelessness. So you heard some folks share some statistics like the last speaker. Additionally, I want to highlight that from 2000 to 2023, California's median rent increased 40%, while renter income only increased 9%. So we're really facing a significant deficit when we look about the needs of Fresno, and also the way that people are being displaced and facing eviction. So I also want to emphasize the importance of pro-housing and taking a housing first approach. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Elliot, and I think you're going to finish it up for us, unless we have any more speakers.
Good morning, council members, President. I'd like to start off by saying I'm urging the Fresno City Council to pass an equitable, budget that prioritizes and supports vulnerable communities. As the residents in the city of Fresno, the high cost of living and expensive rent housing are affecting working families like mine. I ask City Council to prioritize our community and increase funds for the eviction protection program to $2.5 million, and include $3 million for the mobile home rehabilitation, as well as $1 million to start the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act. As the cost of living keeps rising, we also need to pass policies like a statewide rent cap that will stop the growing power imbalance between corporate landlords and renters. Our community is experiencing a housing and economic crisis. Investing in these programs and services will now prevent evictions, keep people housed in the city of Fresno. I strongly urge the City Council to pass the above community demands. And I also like to read a few community input through some outreach that we did for the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act. A resident from District 1 says, hoping to urge you today to champion the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act that would allow tenants to have the first opportunity to purchase a home they are living in. This would offer Fresno equity and more stability, and folks to ensure or acquire generational wealth. Another from District 1, I know how you like to push for creative solutions, and this act is one of the many tools we can use to support more home ownership. Conducting genuine research and seeing how amazing the Topa Copa or a mix of both can be for Fresno should be a 2025 priority. And the last from District 7, the time is now to be the change you want to see. Fresno Topa is an opportunity to allow the residents of Fresno County a voice that needs to be heard. Home ownership is a chance to stability for so many families in need. Act now, pass this policy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so is there anybody else from the public wishing to comment on the budget hearings? This is your last opportunity for the day. Okay, we're going to close public comment, and we're going to take this back to the council. So the purpose of today's meeting is to discuss and vote on budget motions. Are there any new or revised budget motions? I'm going to go in district order. Also, council, the department directors are here, and you have a right, of course, to ask staff for any clarification or follow-up. So we're going to start with, Bill, I was going to go in order of district. Do you want to go in order of district, or whoever punches up first? Okay. So let's just see who punches up first. So we're going to go with Council Vice President.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to revise motion number 57. It should read allocate 100,000, not 50,000. And then I'd like to revise motion 52. The reappropriation of funds for the construction of the Tetsi Wills Park will come from CDBG funding allocated currently to Maxi L Parks. Additionally, I'd like to make a new motion, as requested by planning, a motion to add 500,000 for the EPA community-wide assessment grant and 750,000 to the Brownfields revolving loan fund for a total of 1.25 to the planning and development department's budget. Additionally, I'd like to make a new motion, a motion to allocate $501,100 for the basketball courts at Nielsen Park to include repairs, resurfacing, restriping of the court, new basketball hoops, painting an existing light post, new picnic area, and ADA path of travel from the Measure P Category 1, Fund 2711 of unprogrammed dollars. And then one final motion is a motion to allocate Parks Department resources to find alternative office space. Currently, they're utilizing Dickey Youth Center, and return the Dickey Youth Center to activity space and to recreational staff.
Council Vice President, with the last motion, would you be comfortable if I was to add to that $2 million towards improvements to Dickey Playground, as much of it coming from Measure P as possible?
Sure. In accordance to the master plan for Dickey Youth, yes.
Thank you.
All right. And then my last item, Council President, is a request for information, a request for a list of all the 33 items needed to obtain the pro-housing designation once again. Those are all my items. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Next, we have punched up Councilmember Richardson.
Hey, Council President. I'd like to add a motion to design left turn phasing signal at Millbrook and Nees with an estimated cost of $100,000 to be completed in fiscal year 2026.
Second.
Great. Any other motions, Councilmember? Okay. So next we have Councilmember Maxwell.
Thank you, Council President. 2 additional motions, both in the parks category. The first one is $80,000 for the shade structure at Vinland Park. Director Aguirre I think you spoke to my staff about that this morning. And the other one is $15,000 for the Cary Park Little League team.
Second.
Great. You want us to read that? Yeah, and we'll send all those in as well. Okay, anything else? All right. Next is Councilmember Vang.
Thank you very much, Council President Kerbasi. Before I start on my motion, and I apologize ahead of time, just a thank you to the directors for being here. I know we are coming to the end of our budgets. It's going to be next week or the following week. So I want to thank them for being here almost every day, presentations, questions and answers. And also to the city staff for providing us the information that we need. I know sometimes the information is extensive, but thank you very much for providing the information. And the mayor for the budget and city manager, thank you very much for answering the questions and again, clarifying questions that I may have. Also, I just wanted to be on the record that there are individuals who submitted their comments online, and I have hard copies of them, and so I read through all of them, as well as the people who provided comments in person. So just to be on the record for that. Council President, I have a few motions that I already been made and submitted to the appropriate departments or head departments, but I just wanted to reiterate, modify, or add some of those motions. First, I want a motion to add funds to cover the installation and maintenance of a TV screen behind speaker in council chambers. Funding and source amount is to be determined. And also a motion to add $75,000 to the neighborhood watch from the general fund. And I also wanted to take the opportunity to ask a few directors to elaborate some of the motions that I have made. And Director Aguirre, if I can have you come up to the podium, I just wanted to ask a few questions before I make a motion on the 49-acre park/Peach Park. I understand that we are, as you make your way up, I understand that we are in phase 1 of 3 of this 49-acre, and phase 2 and 3 has yet to have any schematics, plans, etc. So the modification of phase 2 and 3 is still available. Is that correct?
So we have an approved master plan for the 49 acres, which includes phase 1, 2, and 3. Phase 1 had construction documents and construction funding. Phase 2 and 3 do not have construction documents, just the master plan. Okay.
In that case, the possibility and availability of adding an amenity, in particular an indoor gymnasium comprised of volleyball/basketball facilities is possible for either stage 2 or phase 2 or phase 3?
It would just require us redesigning the master plan and then those construction documents for that element.
And how much would it cost to redesign the master plan to incorporate the gymnasium into phase 2 or 3?
I believe that RFI was sent last night with design and soft cost. I believe the number was, and that's not the master plan, but it would.
Just the design, is it 800,000?
With soft cost and 800,000, correct.
Okay. Thank you, sir. In that case, I'd like to motion to fund an indoor gymnasium for the 49-acre Peach Park, either in phase 2 or 3, contingent upon funding of $800,000 with matching dollars from general funding for design.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And sorry, just to double check, did we get seconds on your first?
The first one, I think, is a previous motion. The
Correct.
second one for Neighborhood Watch. Does anybody want to second that motion for $75,000 more? I'll do it if no one else wants to do it.
75,000, yes.
Well, there's
No,
been nothing
There's
this
nothing
year.
for next.
That was already
fiscal year.
motioned and seconded.
It was already
Was it
motioned,
done?
yeah.
Oh,
That
I'm
was
sorry,
already
done.
motioned, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
Motion number 14.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, we did that last
If I
night.
wasn't clear, I do apologize. Thank
No,
you.
no, you're right. You're fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And can I?
Just clarification, you said matching funds. You just mean general fund, $800,000?
No, the $800,000 is from, I believe, the general fund, and the completion of the project is from general and or matching fund.
Matching funds are usually like we use to match a grant. So, Aaron, can you come clarify, please? We just want to make sure we have this down right.
I think the matching funds would come from a potential grant that
Correct.
we will be applying for.
Correct, yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Is it eligible for Prop 68?
Okay, I'm
or
sorry.
anything like
Isn't usually the general fund the match to a grant? Or
We-
is it or do we get a grant to match general fund? Or is it 6 of one, half a dozen of the other?
Right. Yeah, we would use whatever funding source, whether it's Measure P or whatever funding source we identified.
Okay, thank you.
So it's and or. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, City Manager. And can I have Director Barfield step into the podium, please? Again, this was a motion made earlier. This is regarding the bus stop on Kings Canyon and Minnewawa Avenue. Good morning, Director.
Good morning.
And as I recalled, with regarding the bus stop on Minnewawa and Kings Canyon Avenue, if I can recall, you mentioned that that has been in the works by your department.
Yes, it was a condition on United Health Centers. It was actually studied in the original BRT grant where we would do a pair at Minnewawa. They were removed at the last minute to save funds because there was no development on the north side where the health center is now. And on the south side, we never went after going after funding for the one there by the house. With United Health Centers installing everything to our standards, we are now prepared to put a bus stop in. It will not be a full BRT stop. I've shared with you and your staff. It will be one of our new bus stops with the blue tops and the blue benches, as well as a garbage can and proper signage.
What is the timeline completion of this bus stop?
We think we can have everything, all the paperwork and everything we need to do and have it installed within 60 days or less. I just have not been able to tie up with one part of my team because they were gone yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
60 days or less then?
60 days or less.
Okay. Thank you very much, Director.
Thank you.
In that case, I'd like to withdraw the motion to add a bus stop on Kings Canyon and Minnewawa Avenue.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Okay, thank you. Just two more to go. Can I have Director Mosier step up to the podium, please, Director? Thank you. Good morning, Director Mosier.
Good morning.
Good morning. During our last conversation, when I made a motion with regards to the road diet on California Avenue between Clovis and Fowler Avenue, your department was going to determine the feasibility of reducing the 2 lanes to 1 lane. And I believe that study has been completed, and it appears that it is doable to reduce 2 lanes to 1 lane.
Yes, that is correct. Our Traffic Operations and Planning Division have thoroughly reviewed that. The traffic volumes are light enough that it would function well as a 3-lane collector. Then the big planning decision and design decisions will be what do we as a city do with that wide right-of-way?
Again, as I recalled, is a result of a few accidents around that corridor, and also the history of drag racing between the 2 lanes going each direction, especially during the summer month. And so thus safety has been paramount in making the request by constituents living along that California corridor. Has there been any studies in terms of the cost to reduce the 2 lanes to 1 lane in each direction?
If we were to move forward with that, what we'd recommend is $100,000 for the design phase. The cost to implement it would really vary significantly depending upon the strategy selected. One approach could be a Class 4 protected bike lane with very wide buffers. The more expensive options would include taking part of the center median or other areas to be some type of landscape improvement with actually removing pavement, creating some type of median. So we'd recommend some work, Councilmember Vang, with your office and the community as appropriate on that type of concept. But first step would really be roughly $100,000 effort for that improvement for the design phase.
Thank you. In that case, I'd like to make a motion to fund the road diet on California Avenue between Clovis and Fowler Avenue with the amount of cost of design and construction to be based on engineering estimates.
Second.
Thank you. And one more, Director Mosier. This is a new motion that I'd like to make is regarding the travel pathway or sidewalk along Armstrong Avenue heading south to Church Avenue. I understand that Bonnet Deli will be building south of the railroad track halfway to Church Avenue. And part of the conditions of approval for that subdivision is Bonnet Deli will put sidewalk on the western side of Armstrong, but it's not all the way to Church Avenue. And then along Church Avenue, between Fowler Avenue and Armstrong Avenue, there is no sidewalk on the north side from Armstrong to Church. There will be sidewalk on the south side halfway because of Sanger West and JFK Middle School. However, at this time, it presents a safety issue for this southern part of Armstrong Avenue to Church Avenue and the eastern part of Church Avenue to Armstrong Avenue. There are no sidewalks, and I understand this area is currently county property. Is my description of the area correct, Director Mosher?
The description of the area is correct. I would say as far as safety concerned, definitely there's opportunity for safety improvement, but I would not describe it at the moment in the county as a dangerous condition. But that is correct. The Bonnet Deli subdivision at the moment, it is in the stage, next 2 steps would be a planning commission action to approve a tentative map, and then also a LAFCO annexation process. That property currently is in the county. The developer is aware of the staff recommendation for proposed conditions that, as you described, Councilmember, full sidewalk improvements along the track frontage, and then a temporary asphalt safe route to school from the subdivision south on Armstrong, west on Church to the Sanger Unified Complex.
Yeah. And for the record, Sanger West, grades 9 through 12 has been open for 3 years. JFK, John F. Kennedy Middle School, will open next year with 7th graders and the following year with 8th graders. So in approximately 15 months from now, students from 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade will be walking anytime from south of the railroad track on Armstrong, heading west on Church to these campuses. And thus the need to have these temporary paths of travel along Armstrong Avenue and Church Avenue. With that, I'd like to make a motion to install temporary paths of travel for students around the Sanger West High School / John F. Kennedy Middle School, safe routes to school along, Armstrong Avenue, heading south to Church Avenue, and along Church Avenue between Fowler and Armstrong Avenue.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Director Moja. Thank you.
If I could just ask Scott, on either of those motions, do we have an estimated cost at this time?
Yes, Assistant City Manager, we've had a short amount of time to look at that, but we believe order of magnitude on the temporary asphalt path, safe route to school, would be $100,000 for that work.
And Clovis and Fowler Road Diet, do you have any estimate on that one?
The design phase, we believe, would be $100,000. However, the construction phase would really depend upon whether, upon the concept that was ultimately selected. So we do not have a cost estimate for construction since there's not a concept yet. The current roadway, it's a 5-lane roadway. We have 2 lanes in each direction, a center turn lane, and outside bike lanes. So essentially, we're taking a lane away in each direction, but the pavement is still there. So what we do with it is a big question.
So from a timing perspective, I mean, we're getting ready to, like, I think we can put the 100,000 in for design, but I mean, we got to get down to exact numbers here. So, and we rarely are able to fund design and construction in one budget year. So council member, if you're okay, I would suggest that we put the $100,000 in for the design of the road diet, and then as the designs are designed, then there can be conversations about which option, and then that can be priced out from a construction perspective, and that'll have to be a conversation in the future, because we're sort of out of time here on figuring out what things are going to cost, especially in a year when we don't have a lot of extra money hanging around.
That is also true, City Manager. The feasibility and implementation of this designing change, again, can take place within 1 month or 1 year or beyond that. Again, it's a safety issue, thus this request. And so if we can get it done as soon as possible, the better for the safety of the residents there. And thank you very much, Assistant Manager, for that comment and that question as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Council President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Next, we have Councilmember Perea, followed by Councilmember Esparza.
Thank you, Council President. Just a couple more motions. First one is a motion to allocate $100,000 to fund LGBTQ plus nonprofit grants program. Second motion is for $100,000 to reactivate the City of Fresno's Youth Commission. Second. That is all, Council President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Next is Councilmember Esparza.
Yeah, I have a couple of amendments. Motion number 37, I want to amend that motion to include the amount of $1,640,000. 37.
Second.
Number 46, per a conversation with the city manager, going to amend motion number 46 for that proposed salary resolution amendment to go to be from $1,650 to $2,350. That'll be it.
Thank you. Okay, any other council members wishing to punch up at this time and have any follow-up questions or any more motions? Okay, so I do have a few questions. I'm going to be asking questions of Parks, Planning and Development, and Public Works. Let's start with Parks, Director Aguirre.
Hey, Public Works and Planning, you guys are on deck. Come on down in the front row, please.
Good morning.
Good morning. These are just some follow-up questions to my RFIs before I make any motions.
Okay.
Now, we've all been burning the candle at both ends, and I may have made a mistake when I requested regarding the issue of swings. Logan Park, you got me the estimate for that, which was great. And I got the estimate for Stallion Park, but I wanted Orchid Park. And I couldn't find the RFI I sent, whether I said Orchid or Stallion. So I'm going to make a motion later for Orchid Park. We're doing work right now on the tot lot. You guys are doing a great job out there. There's currently a swing set for toddlers. There's 2 of them. So I don't know if we can it would be cheaper to upgrade one for an adult, one for a toddler or whatnot. But I'll make a motion as a placeholder. If we can revise those numbers, we can come back and do that as well.
Perfect.
So the estimates that we got, I think for Logan alone, it was $203,700. I'm sorry, that's incorrect. $207,000. But one of those seats is what's called an ADA inclusive seat. Now, I'm curious if you can ballpark guess how much of the 4 swings, I believe it's 1 toddler, 2 adults, and 1 ADA inclusive seat, how much of the cost is because of the ADA inclusive seat? Would it be a considerable amount or a negligible amount?
I don't think it's a considerable amount. I can get you that exact number, though.
I only ask because I know I'm trying to whittle these things down as much as possible to put as little constraint as possible, and not too far away is Oso de Oro Park,
right,
which is a very inclusive park. And that's why I asked that question. So if I can get that as a follow-up, sure, that'd be great. Okay, let me see. Anything else for parks? That was easy, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I have a few motions to make regarding parks specifically. Motion to allocate $207,000 to swing sets at Logan Park.
Second.
Thank you, Council Vice President. And this is just a placeholder number. Motion to allocate another $207,000 to swing sets at Orchid Park.
Second.
Okay, I expect that to be revised. That was already done. And based on the memo I received, RFI on Stallion Park, I'm going to make one motion for the following things for Stallion Park improvements. $922,900 for the playground improvements, $305,000 for restroom renovations, and $50,000 for other improvements to Stallion Park, as much as possible funding from Measure P.
Second.
Thank you, Council Vice President. We did acquire in the last budget some land at Barstow and Veterans, so this will be one of our few parks west of the 99, and in the west area. The estimate we received, I'm making a motion for, is $400,100 for design costs for a new neighborhood park at Barstow and Veterans.
Second.
Thank you, Council Member Maxwell. And that should be it for parks. Thank you very much.
Councilmember, on that Barstow and Veterans, you said $400,100. Is that for design?
For design only.
For design, thank you.
Unfortunately, construction's very expensive, but I know it takes a few years. So at least we get design, get a scope, and then we can know for next year how much we need. Thank you. Okay, if I can, thank you so much, Director Aguirre. Next, we'll have Director Clark. Some follow-up questions, that would be great. So ag land mitigation, the memo was very helpful. Roughly, it takes a lot more than I realized. Roughly, how much would it cost in terms of staff time and preparation to bring something forward, including I believe it was a whole new CEQA document, is that correct? Ballpark, what would it be?
I really
I'm not going to make a motion on this.
Ballparking on CEQA right now, but you know, we have started working on this. We're trying to get that scope of work really nailed down so that we can actually do some kind of CEQA procurement. But best guess is somewhere in the $100,000 to $150,000. But it really depends on the level of CEQA that's required.
Yeah, it's tough because I think this is something that's important for future investment in Fresno, but it's very intensive and it's expensive. Have there been any offers from the development community to augment some of these costs? Or could we pass this on
So any costs associated with developing a program like this can be rolled into the ultimate fee program. So if it costs us $100,000, $250,000 to create the program, that plus the mitigation fee, it can be rolled into whatever that fee would be. So it would be paid out over time, and the estimation is, typically over a 3 to 5 year period. How would you spread that over the number of projects that you would have? How many projects are you going to have? So it's a little questionable, but yes, that cost can be rolled and recaptured over time in the fee.
What I'll do today, I'll make another placeholder motion, but if we can recapture it into the fee, I think that'll solve the problem. So I will make a motion to allocate up to $150,000 towards the creation of an ag land mitigation fee program. But as the administration works on the budget, if they come back to me and say, well, we can roll it into the fee, it's not necessary, I'll be okay with that.
Okay.
Is there a second on that? Thank you, Council Vice President. Thank you, Director. A couple more things, sorry. Okay, we talked a little bit about parking. And I'll keep this really top level, but the issue of, we do have some charging stations, and the public can charge at them, but they're also metered spots. I'm really interested in us not charging people that are charging their cars. If they're charging, as long as we have a fee structure with charge point that if you're idle, we will charge you for that. I'd really like to explore waiving those fees. Is there any way we can get a number on how much that would cost to do that? How much we would lose by doing that?
No, but what I would suggest and work with the city manager on is we're going to be coming back this year with updates to all of our operational fees, so our fees for service, which would include parking, and I think that would be a great place to include that, and that would give us the time to figure that out. So within the next 90 to 120 days, we'll come back with our updated fees, and in that motion, we could include what you're suggesting.
Okay, let's do that. That makes sense. It's not that far away. Great. Okay, and then my last question, I did request a motion on the $1 million for infill housing. So basically, this helps waive certain development fees for those housing units, correct?
So, yeah, so the development fee, all the fee programs, impact fee programs are actually, I can address as much as I can, but they're within our infill area. So it would be a reduction or a waiver of fees specifically in the infill area, and then it's administered through the Department of Public Works. Okay.
As best you can answer. I can see how that's important. I think roughly, it was 176 units divided by $1 million. It's like between $5,000 and $6,000 a unit, if I recall. And that can make a difference when you're doing a pro forma. I get that. My question is, I did ask a follow-up question on how much of those units are affordable housing versus market rate housing. Do we have any data on that? My assumption is it's affordable, but I wasn't sure.
We currently don't require affordability. But we could require that. So I don't know, Scott, if we have data or Phil on what percentage of the projects that we've awarded that are.
I'll tell you why I ask. It's important. I just want to make sure we have a balance there because we do need more affordable housing, but I also want to make sure we're investing general fund dollars in this program, which we're not investing in other areas. And we don't make the property tax revenue we make from affordable housing, which we need, versus market rate housing. And if we're going to subsidize those affordable units, we need some market rate too. That's kind of why I'm asking that question. It's a good program. I just want to make sure
It's absolutely a valuable program, right? So we want to invest and make the infrastructure work. Oh, I'm going to let Ms. Furtado answer.
Okay.
Kelly Furtado, Chief of Staff. So the majority are market rate that
That's great.
participate in the infill, the residential infill program, which is what you're speaking of, and it is a reimbursement that this offsets. So it's not waived. The fee exists. It is paid. It's just paid with the money that is in the budget.
That's very helpful. Thank you for that, Kelly. All right. Thank you guys so much. That's all my questions for planning and development. Thank you. Next is Public Works. Director Mosier. Hi, Scott. Good morning.
Good morning.
When I requested estimates for left turn phasing, I was lucky last year because someone had the foresight in Public Works to get Van Ness and Herndon set up to where it was only $25,000, which was amazing. It was only one direction, but it was an amazing cost savings to the taxpayers. I did ask for estimates on Bullard and Van Ness. I did receive that. I could be missing it. I didn't see I made a request at the same time for Bullard and Faulkner. I didn't see that. Now, was that provided? I could have missed it though myself. I've been going through so many of these RFIs.
I only remember seeing
So it was
Bullard and Van Ness
on-
when we were reviewing these. So either we didn't hear you,
It's not a big
or
deal.
we missed it.
On June 5th, I double-checked that part. On June 5th, the email I sent, in the same line it mentioned Bullard, Faulkner, and Bullard and Van Ness. That's why it could have been missed.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Scott, do we have any idea if it would be in the same ballpark?
I would say roughly, yes, we can have that, I'd say, by noon today.
Okay.
We can have Bullard and Faulkner.
That'd be great. So Bullard and Van Ness, the estimate was 1.2 million. And my jaw dropped when I saw that, because it's amazing how inflation's really hit us. But it is a pre-existing intersection. Why is it so much? It's really hard to, it's important, but it's hard to make a motion for that much money versus other projects.
Absolutely. So installing protected left turn phasing at typically older infill intersections actually is more expensive typically than even doing a brand new one. Reason being, the older one, they have very small underground conduits. They were set up for when you only have the red, yellow, green ball that's referred to as permissive phasing. At the time, it only had a small conduit that was only built to have that number of cables or the wires inside. So when you go to protected left turn phasing, you need a lot more cabling for all. There are 8 phases of the intersection, not just 2. So we wind up boring brand new conduits. We have to maintain the existing traffic signal in operation while we build a new one around it. Essentially, we're building a completely brand new location, and that applies to things. Recently, we completed Clinton and Fresno protected left turn phasing. That was our number 1 citywide, higher accidents. The costs have gone up dramatically.
Now, are there cheaper options using the existing cabling? Like if we use the same box, but get a larger box that has an arrow on it? Again, I'm not a public works person. I apologize. I'm just spitballing out here. Is there anything we can do?
We are always looking at options and value engineering, but we looked at these dozens and dozens of times, and that is the most cost-effective option. So it involves essentially, for protected lefts, we need not only the new conduits under the street to be bored across. It's a longer mast arm to get the left turn head over. The longer arm means a bigger pole. The bigger pole requires a larger foundation and deeper foundation underground to support it, and all the loops and the work in the street. So they are very expensive propositions. Thankfully, we've been able to obtain safety grant funding for these wherever possible.
Okay. So is it possible that we could get more grant funding to help offset some of these costs?
Staff can certainly pursue that. Every couple of years, we have a highway safety improvement program, and we always look data-driven, the highest locations. It's purely it's based upon correctable accidents, all standard formulas. It's pretty cut and dried, but we evaluate all of these locations, like Bullard, Faulkner, Bullard, Van Ness, others around Clinton, Van Ness, others around the city. We're always looking.
Okay, so what I'll do is, it's tough to do this because I know what we're facing here, but it's one of those things where I'm tired of hearing from folks about this intersection. It's not quite Clinton and Van Ness, but it's getting up there. I'll make a motion for 1.2 million for left turn phasing at Bullard and Van Ness.
Second.
Million, did I say billion? No, million, sorry. But if I can get the numbers on Bullard and Faulkner, maybe if it's a little bit less, maybe we'll look at that one instead.
Absolutely.
And I believe that one's higher up on our list.
Yes.
Okay.
Hold on a minute.
Yep.
Technically speaking, I feel like if you are really considering Bullard Faulkner, I think you need to have a motion of some sort. We may be subject to final amount because absent. No, I take that back. We could handle it during the reconciliation. Sorry, I was thinking out loud.
Got it. Thank you very much. That was asked. Okay. So I did receive a memo, which was very helpful as well. Oh, I'm sorry, Director, one more. I'm sorry. I did receive a memo that was very helpful regarding corridor maintenance, and then also a memo on CFDs, what it would be like to create a district-wide CFD. And there's a lot of challenges to doing that. But one of the complaints that I get from folks is, why doesn't part of the district look like the rest of the district or Northeast Fresno? And I explained to them, because when those areas were built in their newer areas, they basically have an HOA that keeps them, that is paid for by the residents, that's managed by the city, that has regular maintenance, scheduled maintenance of the corridor and medians and streets and streetlights and all these things. It upgraded what was an LLMD, which is a CFD now. I would like to give it a shot before I'm out of here by potentially seeing if we can do a district-wide CFD, as challenging as it may be. And we got an estimate that it would be about $50,000 for that election, the whole process. Would we outsource the outreach for that, or would that all be internal?
We'd anticipate that would be internal.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'm going to make a motion for $50,000 towards the creation of a district-wide, a Northwest Fresno CFD. But I also, before I do that, want to ask Councilmember Maxwell, I know this is something that's been important to you as well. Would you be interested in potentially looking at this as well?
The $50,000 covers what exactly, Director?
So the $50,000, that would cover staff time basically to identify the features to be maintained. It would cover the cost of the public noticing. I believe there'd be 4 council actions with each one. So that would cover the mailing as well. But it's not a, let's say, an elaborate form of outreach. This doesn't cover anything like color, graphics, mailers, nothing of that. That was pretty bare bones. So
yeah, I think outreach is a misnomer.
Yes.
It would be the legally required items to put this out to an election. When I hear outreach, I think more of like public education and explaining things, and that I don't think that's what we're talking about here.
Right, and I would add, there are a variety of ways to do that. There is a district-wide thumbs up, thumbs down, up or down vote where the whole thing succeeds or the whole thing fails, or there are scenarios with smaller boundaries.
Right.
Where, say, individual neighborhoods are maybe a half mile by half
So we
mile
can get some
could
and
be
not-
a yes. Under that scenario, those tend to lend themselves a lot more to small neighborhood meetings. You know, let's say like a small neighborhood park,
right,
or a center to go over that option. Similar to council may recall, Minarets in West. We had a successful ballot. Some years ago.
Challenging, but you got it done. Yeah.
We definitely got it done.
And the neighborhood is actually very grateful about that. So let's do this. Let's increase this to $200,000. That's the motion for a potential CFD, district-wide CFD for districts 2 and 4.
Council President, we'd second that and pledge man hours to help out.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Okay. That's that one. Corridor maintenance received, thank you, Director. Received a couple of estimates on corridor maintenance. That was helpful. Now, we talked about Marks Avenue between Sierra and Shaw, but there are a lot of county portions. So I'm going to be working with Councilmember Bredefeld to see if we can get the county portion, which is about half. So I'll make a motion for $203,700 for corridor maintenance as outlined by staff on Marks between Sierra and Shaw. Thank you, Councilmember Perea. And I'll make another motion for $50,000 for corridor maintenance on west between Bullard and Barstow. Thank you, council member. And that one is done. The last thing I want to talk about is partially Measure C in Veterans Boulevard. And that memo was very helpful. So I'm going to live under the assumption Measure C will not pass. That's just, it's a plan for the worst, hope for the best. I kind of think that's where we're headed. That's just my opinion. So Veterans Boulevard, you have done an amazing job. I think crown jewel of Public Works is really getting this project done. Multiple funding sources. It's an overpass over the 99, high-speed rail. Was it the BNSF or UP line, whatever it is out there? And it's eliminated, it's been great. There's a lot of grade separations, which means far more safety and faster commute times, really opening up the west area. It's a big deal. But the plan that's about 40 years old or more, it calls for going all the way to Grantland, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, the Shaw portion to Grantland is supposed to be paid for through the development, correct?
Yes, that's part of the citywide regional street impact fee that would reimburse curb to curb for that construction.
Now
And that's a 6-lane planned facility, 3 lanes each direction.
Now, to be clear, it's going to be 3 lanes each direction all the way down, but is the developer required to do all 3 lanes?
There are 2 developments that currently in various stages. The Park West development is required under the development agreement council approved to build 1 lane in each direction plus the median island, so only 1 lane each way. There is a tentative map being currently in process. It not been to Planning Commission yet, not been through the LAFCO process that Lennar is involved with. So it has been filed, but has not gone forward. And that one is between Shaw and Gettysburg and ultimately would be obligated to build it out curb to curb. So you'd have initial construction, 1 lane each way, and then with the adjacent development, it would be built out to the 3 lanes each direction.
Okay, so it would start with the 1 lane and eventually go to 3 lanes?
Yes.
Again, all developer constructed?
That's correct.
I believe in the memo, there was a number of about $30 million. That's what it would cost us to do the work.
That's right. That's what it would cost the city. Curb to curb, street lights, sidewalks, trails, landscaping, and right-of-way acquisition costs for the whole thing.
Which is considerable. Now, do we have any idea, is there like a formula how much it would cost a developer to do that roughly?
The developer, we'd anticipate less without the city's soft cost and such for it. We've heard a number in the range of $5 million for the initial construction.
Okay. The reason why I ask is I'm trying to see, so the developer doesn't do this out of the goodness of their own hearts. I wish they did, but it doesn't work that way. They're going to be reimbursed, so the taxpayers will reimburse them through the impact. Is it the citywide regional street impact fee program? Is that correct?
Yes. No, that's not a actual tax revenue. Those are developer fees paid by other developers to mitigate their impacts for regional streets.
Correct. And my assumption is they would factor those costs into the price of the home. So our tax, correct, it's not a direct tax, but the people buying homes, it's a cost, and it would potentially raise the cost of housing, but it's just part of the cost of doing business. That's my understanding.
Yes, and essentially the impact fee program also is really a city-facilitated cost-sharing mechanism between multiple developers. So someone who's first in spends more infrastructure dollars, they go on the reimbursement list to be paid for by other developers who pay fees and benefit from that infrastructure being in place.
And it's citywide, so like maybe we're talking about veterans now, but there could be people waiting in line for funding, let's say for SADA when that gets built out, or Northeast Fresno projects, or West Central Fresno projects, East Central Fresno projects, for example, in those areas. It's citywide, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. What is the balance right now in that account?
Let's see, we'll pull up that number.
I should have asked you this beforehand, I apologize. But
all right,
while they're looking that up,
the balance is several $1 million in the adopted budget. Basically, we have 2 things there. We have developer reimbursements, and we have the matching funds on the Herndon Polk to Milburn project, which is the widening of Herndon from 4 to 6 lanes up and over the BNSF Railroad. Our Measure C Tier 1 regional funding agreement with the FCTA specifies the city pays 20% of that project cost from developer fees. So we have the Herndon Polk to Milburn project, 20% through developer fees, 80% through the measure.
Okay.
So that's the other competing project. That is nearly ready to go out to bid and has become the bottleneck on Herndon Avenue at this point.
And it also includes, I think, a Class 4.
And a Class 1
which is a
trail
big deal
on the north side. Yes.
Going over those tracks is not fun.
Councilmember, while Yvonne's looking that number up, just a reminder that, and Scott mentioned this, is that the Park West area is subject to a development agreement, and the developer was very specific in the negotiation of that agreement that they wanted to front load the infrastructure. So that is why the agreement was drafted in the way that it was drafted.
I am not at all debating that. I completely agree with you. But the reason why I'm asking these questions is one thing I've learned a little bit about these impact fee programs is it seems like because we're doing a lot in the city, which is great, it isn't as easy to get paid back. And I have a couple more follow-up questions so I can just be sure I'm clear on a few things. While they're looking that number up, Director, so a developer will pay in money to that fund as it comes in. They'll pay impact fees. If I was to, let's say the balance is $10 million and I have sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Council
If you
President.
have it, it's fine. You're good.
All right. So on that, the FY26 budget as proposed from the citywide regional street impact fee has $2,517,400 of developer reimbursements and $5,479,600 as that match against the regional measure
What's the
C.
fund balance?
The fund and the total fund balance is. Okay, is that because we haven't made our payments yet? We're at $10,349,000. Is that correct? Approximately $10,349,000 is the fund balance.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, that helps. So let's say I spend $5 million on that first phase. I don't know what Lennar's portion would be. I can come to the city and saying, I have receipts, I've done all this. Do I get the full $5 million, or are you limited to how much, am I limited to how much I can get because there's a requirement you only give out as much as comes in that year?
That's purely dependent upon the adopted budget from the council with these funds. That they can be utilized for either developer reimbursements or for city capital improvement projects to build out things that are in the fee program.
But if you're giving an estimate as to what you think the developer reimbursement is going to be in a fiscal year. Right.
Yeah.
And however, if it's not enough, we can come back and do an AAR to appropriate more out of the fund balance. We did that a few weeks ago on another fund.
Right, but right now it's limited to $10.3 million right now.
Well, that is the total fund balance. So yeah, we can't spend anything more than 10 million. The developers would have to start, the waiting list would get created.
I understand.
Yeah.
No, my concern though is that one, anything the developer pays to build something, and they agreed to it, I'm not debating that, will be passed on to the consumer. That's fine, we know that. It's part of the cost of doing business. But I'm trying to find a way where we can complete this project the way we want to do it, not the way a developer wants to do it. Because I think this city's done a much better job of managing this project. So my question is this. Was Veterans Boulevard a Measure C funded project or in part Measure C funded?
Veterans Boulevard is a corridor, yes. So the total, let me walk through that briefly.
Please.
If you indulge me just a moment. So the Measure C expenditure plan listed, I think, 14 different urban projects. One of them was Veterans Boulevard from Grantland to Herndon. So the total limit was covered there. However, as far as dollars and programming, from right out of the gate, there was not enough funding to do everything in the measure. For all projects. There are some that at the end of the 20 years would not be done partially, right? The Great Recession had less revenues than originally anticipated, let's say, because it's sales tax based. So Veterans was funded from Shaw to Herndon with the measure. And that was multiple, as a council president, you mentioned multiple funding sources.
That was the heftiest part of the project.
Yes.
That was the toughest part, yeah.
STIP funding from the state. We got $30 million from the High-Speed Rail Authority to help with the veterans overcrossing. So we had, and developer fees, a lot of developer fees towards the interchange and towards the street work.
So my worry is right now, and I know the numbers change. Right now there's $10.3 million in that fund. Potentially, we don't know, $5 million, and I know the fund gets depleted, but also gets added to. Half of that can be spent on veterans alone. That's just the first part, the Park West requirement you mentioned. And it's only one lane, not 3 lanes. My worry is this: what about Southeast Fresno? What about Northeast Fresno? What about Central East Fresno and the other projects and the traffic signals and the other things that are reimbursed? it's depleting a lot of funds. My understanding was Veterans Boulevard, that portion is a Tier 1 Measure C project. Is that correct?
It is.
Meaning it's a top priority.
Well, the 14 different projects, they all had
Right.
different rankings that occurred through Fresno COG
Long
and
COG, got it.
FCTA, right, to decide over the 20 years which of those would go first, middle, and the latter
So my
period.
question is there any money that we haven't spent that's for Tier 1 projects that haven't been constructed yet, that the city is considering constructing, that we can move to completely fund the build-out of Veterans Boulevard? Because I'm trying to understand why we're saying no to veterans and passing on the burden rather than completing veterans, because I've had a lot of residents in the West area, some of them in my district, it's districts 2, 1, and 3, many of them in my area in Forgotten Fresno, that are really frustrated, and I really think there's not enough shopping out there in their area, not enough parks out there, and what really makes a difference is infrastructure. Veterans has already been a big benefit to them. Are there any other Tier 1 projects we're funding now, or we've allocated money towards now?
Council, yes. So briefly, the remaining Tier 1 projects that are in the budget, both this current fiscal year and proposed in FY26, so these are the remaining ones. That's 2 segments of Peach Avenue, in southeast Fresno, so basically from Florence to Church, and then Church to Jensen. Those are both in design. They have not yet been allocated funding for the construction phase. We also have design funding currently approved by the council, and we're under agreement with FCTA for Cesar Chavez Boulevard in southwest Fresno, from Mayor Avenue to Fruit Avenue to the west.
How much is that one?
That one total
Roughly.
rough cost is about $20 million.
I have a question. What is out there right now? What is the $20 million? That's a lot of money. What is the $20 million going towards? Are there any economic development projects planned in the area? Any housing planned in the area that it's going to benefit, like within the next couple of years?
In terms of economic development and housing, I'd need to defer to Director Clark for other things that are in the pipeline, or our economic development director. But it's a lot of funding. The scope and what's been covered and identified in that project agreement, that includes finishing all the missing curb and gutter and sidewalks, a lot of gaps in the system east and west of Edison High School. It includes signalizing the intersections that don't have any traffic signals, sidewalks, street lighting, a combination of protected bike lanes, buffered bike lanes, and then also pavement reconstruction. There are some areas there that are in poor condition.
This is tough.
And some street tree planning as well. So it's really a build out of a complete street.
No, it's tough because now it's a battle between Southwest Fresno and the West area, and in terms of equity, it's all important. But $20 million, here's the thing, if we finish veterans, one, it'll free up money in that street fund, the street impact fee fund, to help other development areas, and hopefully reduce the cost to the consumers when it comes to housing, but also help generate property tax revenue and sales tax revenue through new economic development. Whereas if we're spending $20 million on things that are important but aren't generating any tax revenue, we need to be really strategic about how we spend money. So I'm really trying to understand. Right now, we're putting the remaining eggs for Measure C in the basket of this Cesar Chavez Boulevard Fruit to Mayor Avenue. It's $20 million. Is that what I'm hearing, pretty much?
That's correct. And then there is one project in Measure C Tier 1, the urban program, that's not city-led, but using some of the money, and that is the Highway 99 interchange reconstruction at North and Cedar Avenue. That is being led by Caltrans. So that's also in the plan. Those are the remaining projects that would rely upon, really 2 years, the remaining 2 years of measure funding.
Scott, what of our regional street fee, what are the types of roads that can be spent with our impact fee? It's not just any road, it has to be the regional benefit, right?
Correct. So this program was adopted by council back in 2007. We have 2 types of the regional street fee program and then new growth. They're in the growth areas of the city. The regional streets In addition to Veterans Boulevard, it's West Shaw Avenue, west of 99, Jensen Avenue. We have Marks Avenue in Southwest. We have McKinley in the East kind of District 4, District 7 area, Willow Avenue in North Fresno, build out, and Herndon Avenue, West Herndon Avenue.
So it can't it has to be a specific type of street. It can't just be anywhere.
That's correct, and it's primarily a developer reimbursement program.
Okay.
Really, the city's projects where we've undertaken and utilized the impact fees have just been a small handful. I mean, Veterans, very significant. We've had some gap filling on Willow, a little bit of work on Herndon, but primarily it's a developer first in, first out reimbursement program.
And is the Herndon Avenue also another Tier 1 project?
Herndon, yes, Herndon Tier 1, all the way from 99 to DeWolf Avenue in Clovis. So over 20 years, that has helped build that out. Plus federal grants, where we've been able to obtain those.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, Herndon is really we don't really have a North Fresno East-West freeway. That's pretty much it. I would love to spend all the money on Herndon, but I think that would be unreasonable. When you talk about completing Veterans and really completing that transportation loop around the Fresno, Clovis metropolitan area, it's significant, and there still is a gap. So right now we're spending $20 million on Cesar Chavez Boulevard between California and Mayer Avenue. That's what we're expecting to do.
At the moment, yes, that is what's in the regional program as approved by Fresno COG and the Fresno County Transportation Authority. At the moment, the council has approved a design contract for that work and nothing beyond the design phase.
At what
for
point?
Cesar Chavez.
Right. So where is the money sitting right now?
FCTA maintains those balances. I do not know the exact amount of the entire urban pot at the moment.
Okay, I'll make it simple, and this can always, if staff has any follow-up, we can revise that, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a motion for $10 million for the West area to be funded towards the full completion of Veterans Boulevard, funding to come from Measure C. Thank you, Council Member. And we can, of course, continue talking about that, but I really think that if we're going to start, if Measure C is going to continue, we need to prove to the residents that we're spending it wisely, which we are, but in a way they can see it, especially the voters that rejected it in Fresno and Clovis. I also think it's really important we show that we're spending it to have future economic development, so it's going to actually increase the fund as well. And this will also free up money so we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul, putting it all on Veterans Boulevard, but we're also continuing to fund projects in SEDA and other areas where we may need the money.
Councilmember, so that in essence is relieving the developer of their development agreement requirements. I have a question. I think we're going to need to discuss the developer receives certain benefits in that development agreement, including not being subject to any fee increases that everybody else has been subject to. Their fees were in essence frozen. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem very fair that on one hand they would be benefiting from being relieved of one requirement, but they still get the benefit of being treated differently than.
Let's change that. The developer is taking too long to do this. Let's change it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm open to changing that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that there's two master developers we're talking about here, but what I'm concerned about are the other developments in other areas of the city. When we deplete this fund, the first phase is roughly $5 million. As we deplete that, what about the other projects? So I'm open to whatever you guys got to do to negotiate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. So that does it for me. Thank you all for your patience. I do have Council Member Maxwell punched up.
Thank you. I just wanted to make an additional motion on behalf of my colleague, Councilmember Arias. I had to step out for a moment. It's going to be a motion to allocate $540,000 for additional amenities at Les Kimber Park from Category 2, Fund 2700 of Measure P funds. That'll be it. Thank you, Council President.
Okay. How's everyone's blood pressure today? We're doing okay? It's so low? Okay. Thanks, Ruthie. Okay. So I think that'll do it. I don't have anyone else punched up. One more opportunity for council members. Any questions for staff, for directors? Any more motions to make?
Council President,
Yes, sir.
We're still on track to take a final vote on the budget next week.
We expect to next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, okay, sounds good.
That's the rough estimate right now.
Still on track right now, yeah.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and thank you to the council. You've all been really great about getting your RFIs and requests in early. Staff has been really great about getting that information to us fast. They didn't get it in
RFIs
early?
were not in early.
Okay, well, okay. Hit the bell then. Go ahead. It's all right. I appreciate the council for keeping the flow going. I will say that. It's been really easy for me, at least. And I appreciate staff for quickly following up with us on the information. It's a lot of estimates and data. It really does help a lot. So thank you all. I know what it means for you guys to stay late and work weekends to make this process move through. I know it's our jobs, but still, it's nicer when we work together. So thank you, council, and I think that'll do it for today. So we adjourn this hearing at 10:26 a.m. Wait a minute. Is that correct, Todd? Do we need to make a motion for all the motions, or they're all in the hopper?
I think in the past, we've made a motion to approve every motion on the list.
Council President,
They're already on.
I'll make a motion to
One second, I'm
approve.
sorry.
Oh,
1 second. Everything's already in the hopper. Do we need to make another motion on top of that?
We need to pass them, Council President.
Yeah, in the past, as we're discussing, they've approved. them
Okay, all right. I apologize. Make the motion.
Council
now,
President,
sir.
I'll make a motion to approve the entirety of the motions across all districts made throughout these budget hearings.
So motion for all motions in a bundle, second by Councilmember Maxwell. Any discussion?
May I make a statement
Yes.
of clarification for the public? Because I think this is where the public gets confused. So the motion that Councilmember Esparza just made, and should it pass, which I suspect it will, does not mean that every single one of these items are funded. The budget is now out of balance. The mayor and our team will be going in with the budget office and trying and making adjustments to bring the budget back into balance. And when we come next Tuesday, there'll be what's called a reconciliation sheet. And the reconciliation sheet will identify which of all of these motions are able to be funded for sure. And that will be the final determining factor of which motions have passed. So there's always a lot of confusion that, oh no, it got passed. It's not until next Tuesday will we know for sure which of these motions will be finally approved. I just want to clarify that for
This
the
is not
public.
the final budget.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any opposition?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that according to the Assistant City Manager, we are just under 51 million that we will have to go back and reconcile. And so I'll be meeting with council members over the next week, and we'll get that back in balance.
That's a light year, Mayor.
But about $51 million, some just short of that.
You've reconciled that before, though.
Oh,
right?
yeah. It's
We're
easy.
truly confident you can do it.
Yeah,
we are
just
confident.
Go to bed tonight and do it in your sleep. It'll be all right. You've done much worse.
No. Okay, no opposition. The motion passes 6-0. Now, with that being done, I will adjourn the meeting at 10:28. Thank you.